everybody. This is Gregory. I am your podcast host for the Year 2 Valuable Podcast. I'd like my other two co-hosts to introduce themselves. Go right ahead, gentlemen.
Hey, y'all. It's Jesse.
Hey, guys. It's Robbie Rainey. What's up, fellas?
What's up? And I wanted to say welcome. I am really happy to be here right now. I don't know how this is going to play out because this episode is going to be my favorite. It is called HR is Your Friend, and I love it. What?
Nothing.
What do you mean not?
The full title says sometimes, Greg. Let's be 100% frank here.
No. The title of this episode is HR is Your Friend.
Well,
sometimes.
Remember that.
In the workplace. I don't know.
No, sometimes, no, usually, nothing.
I call them my coworkers, not friends.
I love how Greg wore his most bright and shining shirt for this episode to soften the blow, to make HR look a lot nicer than they are. Kind of reminds me of HR orientation, like when they come into the front and they're like, "Hey, welcome to the team. We're your friends. Anytime you need anything,
we are so glad you were
us."
here and excited that you're here for to join such a wonderful family."
And then the next thing you know, we're investigating internally, and we're going to need you to comply and not speak about this with any of your colleagues or direct reports until further notice.
See, are we just going to talk about all the stuff that's rough on our job, or are we going to have some fun?
Sometimes friendly is because that's how the illusion is given off, and then you're in their office getting terminated, but they're not going to give you no reason.
I can't even respond to that. I may or may not have had that conversation a couple of times. Anyways, but today is going to be a lot of fun. I'm really going to enjoy it because I know how much we actually love ourselves, and how we love our team members, and how much we. Sorry, actually, I'm gonna have to scratch that out because that was not right. I honestly did not mean to say that.
Right.
Probably turning like
just like you didn't mean to wear that damn shirt today. This guy.
Okay, so HR face is on. Welcome, and I'm really excited. So, how are you gentlemen doing today?
Guarded.
And crickets. I should have had crickets playing there. And
guarded. HR. Guarded.
No. How are you feeling today? What brings you in to speak to me?
Feeling a little nauseous, feeling like I'm needing to take a mental health day, sitting in front of my
like I need a lawyer next to me while I talk.
In front of my flowery HR manager.
Wait a minute. A lawyer? That's something that we can. I'm here for you. I'm your friend. Remember.
Greg, that is awful. So, Greg, Jesse, we're going to talk about both sides of HR, and we're going to try to meet in the middle. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it. We may get some black eyes along the way. But at the end of the day...
It's already bothering me. Twitching. That's why.
Yeah, I can tell, because I got some stuff lined up ready to go. Now, Jesse, do me a favor. I want to talk about what your overall worst HR encounter in your entire working history, your memory, what is it?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier quickly, but to elaborate more on it, is that they have this off-putting personality that everything is great and that you're doing the greatest job that you can ever do, and then all of a sudden you get terminated and you ask why. Well, we can't tell you. We can't share that with you. And so that's the most deploring shit ever, to get terminated, and then you're faced with, well, we can't even tell you why. You haven't got any write-ups, you haven't been coached and canceled on anything, and you're jobless. and that's a horror story for any person. But the mentality that you have to, the mental breakdown that you go through, not even knowing what you did wrong, knowing what you could have been doing better, and the animosity that you have against the people and your boss and the HR department, then, because they didn't even take the time to try to work things out with you.
How did they not? Okay, I'm not going to get mad already. And I promised myself before this I'm not going to walk off. Hopefully I don't, because this is already pissing me off. Anyways, so now Robbie, I'm going to put in my aspect or my 2 cents here. Jesse, tell me your best.
Please
HR
do it
experience.
Brightly like the shirt is all I ask.
Jesse, tell me your best HR. Thank you.
The best part that HR ever helped me with was getting some candidates in and helping me set up interviews.
No, not
people,
about your candidates. I'm talking about for you.
Yeah, no. I don't. I don't even believe most companies should have HR departments. It's a worthless position, and mostly, and coming from being a general
shots
manager.
Fired 7 seconds into the shoot, I love it. This is what I'm talking about, baby. Woo!
Coming from being a general manager of hotels, we didn't have no HR department. I was HR.
Yes, you did.
I took it. No.
No. I literally had this conversation with you multiple times,
and I
have
worked
an HR
directly
department
for the hotel manager or the hotel owner, and we didn't have. No, I was HR. You know,
Well,
I don't. You work for all these
for the sake of the show,
corporations that have thousands of different departments. No, it doesn't work like that all the time in every industry.
Woo! Jesse came ready. He came with the gloves. Came with the gloves raised, baby. I love it. Anyway, Greg, we're gonna have to move on so we can kind of move on throughout the show. But Greg, I want to talk a little bit about, deep down, you kind of have to know how people feel about HR. You kind of have to look people across the eye, and people look at you straight in the face, and their face is like, they're like half smile, and they're looking in your face, and you're like, they're looking at you going, Greg's so full of shit. Because
no, people actually do like HR, and I think it's fantastic that they come into my office, they want to sit there, they want to say hello, and just tell me how things are going. And
remember that
whining.
Remember that knee pads comment that I made the other day on our last episode?
That was a horrible. Do not ever say that comment again.
Hey, come full circle again. Damn it.
Okay. So I'll cut. I'm going to be a little honest with you. Yes, Robbie, I completely understand how people don't typically like HR. It's almost just like, and you got that, you got called to the HR office, almost like when you were in grade school and you're like, you got called to the principal's office. Why
that's
is
exactly
that?
Like it is.
No, it is not. It is not like that. Okay.
To be punished.
We as an HR team, people operations, people and culture, whatever your company may call it, we're there to help everyone. And
that's
we legit, at least I will say I can say but I can speak on a lot of HR, other HR professionals, that we legitimately care about our people, and we want to make sure people do well and do right, and wanting to do that. But there are so many different aspects of HR that you don't even know, and this is what really, really, really hurt and aggravated me. And I'm trying not going to get emotional to this, Jesse, because when you just said HR shouldn't exist, HR is there for payroll, for total rewards and benefits, for therefore your working ability, your compensation. That's part of total rewards.
Setting booby traps
and just
HR
pretending to be your friend.
I did payroll.
Being open ears to for some people to talk about their sorrows. And then that information can be used against them in a court of law at a future
time. Is going just like this because I'm just very angry. Anyways, so let me finish what I was
would be too
say.
wearing that shirt. Is all I'm saying.
Gentlemen, I let y'all speak. Let me speak. I would appreciate that. Please be respectful.
Yes.
Thank you.
Of course.
So,
Woo, Greg got feisty.
So, and okay, we're good. We're here to help out for both the company and for you guys. And yeah, I know people may not like us. They may think that we're evil, and that, as you both are portraying here, that we're like the second coming of the Christ in here and the devil. And no, we're not. I mean, it's just like, we're not evil. We legit want to help you, and we legit want to help the company. So don't. I would just say, just my feedback is, don't be like that. Don't act like it's you're going to the principal's office.
Document to write someone out of their job. Help the company.
No, we're not going. I'm not going to go there because it's not fair. That's not fair. We're not writing you out of a job. You may have written yourself out of a job for other reasons, but I'm. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead,
well,
Ryan.
Greg, here's my perspective. Greg, I think, I've told you this numerous times throughout our podcast. I know a lot of it. I've worked hand in hand with, I've spent a lot of time with in my positions working with human resources. I will tell you from personal experience, and I feel like a majority of individuals would agree with their experience, especially the higher up you go in a company, watching the way that those types of plans are played out. And what I want to say is that you are someone that I've mentioned that, despite you being HR, I love you, man. I know who you are characteristically. So I don't want you to take this as a means of me pushing it directly at you. I wouldn't have brainstormed this idea with you if I didn't think that you were someone I wanted to work with. So, something I wanted to I want to set the record straight. My experience what I'll say is one last thing before I pass it over and we kind of move on a little bit. But, I have a hard time dealing with phony people. I have my entire life.
Exactly.
100%. Completely agree on
I
that.
will tell you that I have, and this actually extends outside of human resources, but I feel like that culture is kind of set by human resources. And the policies that are enacted when HR managers, attend, weekly strategy meetings with sales departments, with operations departments, everybody comes together, that HR manager. I feel like they're finding ways to implement policies that, sometimes create a culture of watch your back. And HR
Can you
is really meant
on
to
that for me? What do you mean?
Yeah.
Watch your back. Who watch your back?
Employees, people, managers, everybody. There's constantly just anything. There's just policies that are in place, like attendance policy. We talked about this last week. 40-hour work weeks are outdated. People they don't need to work that much to get the level of productivity when the 40-hour work week was introduced. People can typically accomplish that level of productivity in 20 to 25 hours. So, people are burnout. People are barely, making it by. They feel like they're just in a culture where they're just closed in with people that they can't trust, that they don't like, and everything is fake. And it's just, I've seen it from a cultural perspective. There's so many political ideologies conflicting, and I mean, like corporate politics, in place. And that's what I really wanted to talk about, was HR just kind of sets that standard. They really make it difficult to be yourself, but also strive to be better. And there's just a lot of things that go into it, and we can talk about that. But for the sake of time, let's move on.
Well, hold on. I want to add on to that. Yes, as a people and culture, human resources, talent, or whatever your company calls it. I'm going to say it because a lot of people always think HR, but it's not. It could be people and culture, people operations. Yeah, we're there to set examples. That's what we should be doing. And we as in the HR team, are the ones that are generally making up a lot of the rules and regulations, because that's stuff that we have to make sure that people will need to follow and should follow, like your attendance policy and things like that. If you don't have an attendance policy, you're just going to have people willy-nilly just not being there and not showing up whenever you need them and you're expecting them.
You have to have an attendance policy for when you schedule an employee? It's again, it's just more SOPs, more things to have. So basically, HR, when
putting
they
your
get
thumb
that
on people,
unemployment inquiry, then they have something that they can bet, because without an attendance policy, you can't sue or go after them against the state for anything.
Let me segue to that, Jesse. Yeah. I think Greg used a term last week, cause. So I'm going to call it the path. A pathway to cause. So they create these policies to create that pathway to cause when necessary. And realistically,
completely disagree.
Why do people get paid for their time and not their level of productivity?
It's there to they're there to hold accountable, to be held accountable. And people are paid for their productivity and sales and stuff like that, hence the commission part. But in other jobs, I mean, people are going to work differently at different times. Mm-hmm. And going back to that 40-hour work week thing, I kind of agree with you. I don't think that it's necessarily needed that we have to work 40 hours a week. I mean, there's been numerous studies that have come out that have said that 32-hour work week is way more productive than the 40-hour work week. Maybe a whole different topic for another podcast.
No, I agree. And
but
sorry, I want to talk.
Robbie, you go. Where
go ahead.
You going? Going into your next question. No,
my question was, I'm actually going to segue a little bit into, a friendly HR story that kind of turned into a formal warning. There was, some situations in the past when I've been in, a hiring manager level position, where, peers and I would work very closely with human resources to acquire talent. They'd go and search out and find and bring in talent, and
sourcing.
It was
go ahead.
Yeah, favorite supervisors got pick of the litter when it came to the new talent that came through, and they would kind of sift through and find out who they liked, and then just leave everything else for the rest of managers to kind of pick from. And there was an incident where I had a leave of absence and I had returned, and an individual was hired under my team that almost felt like a human resource plant in some of the ways that they operated. And I think it had to do with backdoor or backroom conversations happening with, peers and things of that nature. But that person made some pretty strong accusations against me that were proven otherwise. But, I felt like...
Now we're getting to it.
Yeah, so, I think that when you mix things like politics, human resources, very, very greedy and self-centered employees that want to focus only on their own development, it's a recipe for disaster. And it becomes a game of trying to sabotage to get ahead faster. And it's a culture where people feel very cutthroat, where people feel like they don't know who they can trust. They feel like they don't know what they can say. it's quite honestly, it's not a comfortable place to be in. I will say this: be careful to those that are listening to this podcast. Be mindful who you think your friends are in the workplace.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's
all right.
kind of what I wanted to allude to.
So I'm gonna put on my my HR hat, or take off my HR hat, put on my friend / HR person hat.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I heard? I heard, oh, poor pitiful me, woe is me. HR did this. HR did this to me. No, you did this to you, and so just because they weren't somebody that you may have picked for that position doesn't mean they weren't right for the team. You can coach out, you can coach up, you can coach down. Mm-hmm. If you were the manager, you should have taken ownership of that. That's my biggest pet peeve as a manager, as an employee. No. And that you just blamed it on HR, saying that they had a plant into your team.
Whoa. What I said was some of the behaviors that came about. That I've been so, just everyone in the workplace. I have a track record of, hiring everybody across the spectrum, to give you some perspective. Age, sex, race, religion, creed, doesn't make a difference. I have no problem
classes. Thank you.
Yes.
As an HR person, I appreciate you saying that you have not discriminated against somebody, but go ahead.
There's a lot of people that say that they don't discriminate, and then they do, and it comes out during the hiring process when people aren't selected. There's no way to prove when managers are discriminatory in an interview. Tell me how that's proven without the words being used. Oh, just there's a better candidate. Tell me how to justify that statement.
I can't think of one time I've ever heard a manager say anything discriminatory about a candidate.
Because you're HR, fella.
Really? Yeah. Because no one wants to tell you. You've been shielded from it.
Remember that statement I just made watching you say what to, Greg? Yes. Anyway.
We know about the write-ups.
Jesse.
Flying.
I want you to talk a little bit about, the same type of situation with HR where you felt like it was rainbows, butterflies, friendship, and high fives all throughout the hallway, only to find out.
Dun. And like we've been, like we've both kind of alliterated to, is that the ultimate feeling of HR is this: I gotcha. I saw what you were doing behind the scenes, and or your manager came to me and talked about this. So why isn't my manager coming directly to me? Why do we have to have an HR department to be in the middle of it, to one, start bringing up even more issues, and to take the conversation from a point where a simple sit down between the employee and that manager could have alleviated whatever situation was going on. And instead, let's talk about the pressure that I've seen get even put on to HR managers, where they're so overwhelmed because they're having all the managers come to them to complain about their employees and what they're not doing right, and then their employees are coming to them to complaining about what their managers aren't doing right, and then the corporation heads are coming to them about what the overall feeling of the departments aren't doing right, and to the point where I've seen HR associates just completely check out and lose it and shut their office doors and go crying, because of the stress that it brings along too. I mean, if we want to talk about what HR really should be focusing on, I don't think it's going to be playing a parental figure. to settle a disagreement between Tommy and his coworker that are having issues with each other.
Yeah.
Okay.
Greg, I want to talk about
No.
Okay, go ahead. Flower boy.
I'm stop. Thank you for saying that, because I was getting very emotional thanks to that whole I myself have gotten emotional talking to my people. And Jesse, you're 100% right. We are almost like a small therapist. We are like a mom or dad, or a leader of some sort sometimes, and it hurts. It hurts to talk to some of those people, and I've had people where I've absolutely, adored them, loved them. They were a really good friend of me, and I had to turn. And after that, you want to close your door and just sit there and cry. And
I've been in that position.
And so it really does suck. I don't know. I really, you just tell them about checking out. I will be completely honest. During that first part of that rant, I really checked out of that conversation because I was not listening to it. So I don't even remember what he said.
Greg's being an asshole now.
Yeah.
No, I really did. Whatever you said, and they just check out, and I'm like, what? Huh? Oh, yeah, that was me. Sorry. Okay, so get back on track. Robbie, where are we going?
Again, I already had an agenda in your head. I'm not even going to
listening to respond and not listening to internalize and understand people's problems. Great job, HR.
Exactly.
Let's get we'll send this performance review to your current employer. Anyway.
No, we're going to mark this as confidential and make sure you do not talk to anybody outside of this conversation.
Listen, folks, just like in the dating world, those are red flags. So pay attention, and HR is not always your friend.
No. They're not red flags. They're there to be protective of you and of the conversation, so that way we can get accurate information and not everybody. So no, not red flags.
Sales leaders.
I think the idea. Go ahead, Robbie.
Department leads, department leaders. I've seen them. Spend plenty of time with HR. Lunch, going out for, some dinner after work. Do you don't think that's politics?
Well, yeah, that's anywhere. But look at politics in general. Are you not going around kissing babies and shaking thousands and thousands of dirty, nasty hands that you don't want to touch? And sorry.
Oh yeah, I forgot you don't shake hands.
No,
I forgot about. I forgot.
Yeah. So yeah, you go out there and do it. Yeah, I shake hands, and then when I have to, and I'll turn around and with the with a little hand sanitizer. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
But you'll still wear the shirt. I love that. Jesse.
I mean, that's like 3-4 times. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I'm just giving you a hard time. Company interest versus employee morale. Let's talk about it. So, what does HR actually do, Greg?
We're there to bridge the gap between the company interests and our people interests, and making sure that we are, we're keeping things kosher. We're making things run smoothly, legally. That's the biggest part of it, is legally, and making sure that your employees are happy or your team members are happy, and you want to make sure that they're doing their job. That's what they're there for. That's what they get paid for. And so you have your company interest that is you want to get the most bang for your buck. That's anybody that wants to go there. And then you have your your employee morale, which you want to make sure your employees are happy. So, to make sure that that's done.
Yeah, but I mean, if push came to shove, let me ask you, Greg, like, just from your perspective of human resources overall, not necessarily your own personal moral compass, HR tends to protect the company. That's who they are hired to protect. There can be really any sort of manager that decides that they don't like a certain employee, and as long as they follow HR's, one-size-fits-all approach to human interactions and as long as people are, not discriminating, hating, doing things that are harming other people, it's just there's such a finite line of everyone has to follow these very strict policies, and there's really no deviation. I mean, realistically, I want you to think about what that does to a culture. Right? It may make some people feel like it's fair, but at the same time, I am someone that has seen it from the other side, where they put on a very good act to make it pretend like it's very fair. But on the, once that meeting concludes, human resources and managers having conversations like, this person's got to go. And the roadmap to that person's termination commences. So, I want you to think about
cause. You have to have cause again.
Oh, well, we can create it.
We'll
figure it out.
You do not like them,
I was going to say,
you
mean we have to create it.
Yeah.
No, it should be a documented. No, okay. All right. So a couple parts to break down in there for you. On the legality part for the company, I will agree. There are parts of human resources or HR that are there to protect the company. I will say it. And why wouldn't there? I mean, it's almost like their legal department. It's there to protect their company. It's, we work very, very closely with, if we have an in-house legal department, that legal department. If you have, a third-party legal department, that's expensive, but you can still do it. And so, yes, there are aspects that are there to cover the company. One, you don't want to be sued by an employee for, discrimination against those protected classes, for time clock fraud or time fraud, or any other little things. Yes, you're there. You are there to negate any type of liability and minimize the liability for the company. Agreed. I mean, it's just to make sure that happens that way. And so there are those parts. Now, there are parts that we are there for the employee, like your benefits. We want to make sure. I have to tell you, going through total rewards and going through benefit arguments with the senior level C-suite is rough, because you're trying to fight for more money. And of course, your C-suite wants, to cut money, but you're like, no, we need to do something better for our employees. And so your rewards programs, your compensation, those are really tough conversations that we fight for. And it's kind of funny that nobody hears those. Nobody sees those. I mean, we've had some legitimately big conversations, heated conversations at times, with our senior leadership team and our C-suite about different benefits and stuff that, we believe that our team members, our employees, deserve. And y'all, I don't know, you probably don't even know about that. And
I do.
That's
the
annoying
I've
part.
been a part of that too.
What I want to know is, what do you, Jesse? What are your thoughts on the words "We're here for you" when HR uses that type of terminology?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good feeling. It's nice to hear, but I mean, you usually don't have a lot of interaction with them unless it's a, hey, we have a problem, come on in. And then it's, well, I got this person that came in and is accusing you of doing this, or I observed this and we need to have a conversation about it, or, and again, like, it always has to come across in this like naughty naughty, you've been naughty. And instead of a actual conversation about how to steps that to improve the employee morale, or I just it just has always felt that the persecution of HR.
Yeah, I feel like some of the... Now, I will say that I've worked with some good, nice... I don't know if good, I just kind of kept my distance. I've volunteered with human resources before, doing, like, community work, but that's about as close as I got. What I'd say is that term... It's almost like, watch your back. Watch your back. Be careful.
Right.
We're always
No,
watching.
it is not.
That's what it feels
it's
like.
not.
Without question.
No, it is not. We want to be there for you. I just talked to you. I just talked to you about how much stuff we go and fight for our employees, our team members.
I get it. And, I love
you're
that.
saying watch your back? No.
I'm just saying there's certain human resources. You're kind of like taking on the belief for everyone. Stop trying to battle for the whole species of human resources, Greg. You are one of the few that I've seen as having good character, and we've talked about it. Stop getting in your own head. But, it becomes a real difficult conversation to... I understand the balance, Greg. I get where you're coming from. You get paid so you can survive in this man-made system where everyone is kind of pointed to disagree with one another in the workplace because it makes higher-ups have some conversation material. So they enjoy it when employees and human resources and different departments work against each other because there's free drama. It's like watching TNT. We know drama. With that being said, I want to move on a little bit.
That was great.
I want to move on a little bit. Greg, let me ask you a question, and then I'm going to follow up my question with another question after you answer. When you have been in the form of coaching employees on performance improvement plans, anything like that, when you engage in those termination conversations or coaching sessions, do you do it alone?
No. Why
Why?
would you do it alone? Okay, I'm going to clarify a couple of things there, and okay, human resources is not the one making the decisions. We're not telling your manager, you need to terminate this individual. You need to put this individual on a performance improvement plan. We give a lot of recommendations. We're going to recommend. You need, we would suggest that you put this person on a performance improvement plan and see how they do. Unfortunately, performance improvement plans
follow their attendance or follow their different tracks for termination. You can find the way. We'll help you to get there. We'll help you find the easiest path.
And then, if they're on the performance improvement plan or any type of coaching documentation, make sure it's documented. Make sure you're writing it down. And that's a lot of things that a lot of managers don't do these days is making sure you have that documentation. And,
yeah,
and you know,
never
we're all
assume that you're not being documented because HR loves to keep documents and those stack up those employee files, keep them real thick, you know, because again, you gotta have that cause. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I have enjoyed HR departments and the work that they have done, and for me in the past, especially to help navigate employee issues. But I think that a lot of HR professionals have that mentality because they're having to always more negative than positive interactions in their job because of
100%.
the nature of handling things. A lot of HR departments aren't engaged until it's a negative thing that's happening within the workplace. And so, like you said, you know, a lot of the background positive stuff doesn't get acknowledged because those conversations aren't privy to everyone in the workplace.
Yep.
But boy, whenever I've went to discuss a situation, usually the first thing is send me an email with full documentation on that. And I get that we have to have that for certain reasons, and
yes, that's the cover your butt, the CYB,
right,
to protect the employer from the employee lawsuit.
Exactly.
Again, mitigating that liability. But
Right.
go ahead.
Yep.
Brought to you by insurance companies. Anyway,
Okay, so I'm going to go back. So I'm going to go back to what I was. No. I'm going to go back to what I wanted to say. And we in HR do not say that you have to do that. Again, we're the ones that are recommending for termination. Then we're going to do the cause. We need to know the cause of why you want to do this. And then you ask me if I'm the only one in the room. No, I'm not the one that's there to terminate you. I'm not the one that's there to give you your performance improvement plan. I'm not the one that's supposed to deliver this to you. Your manager should be the one that's delivering that to you. I'm there to make sure that things are followed legally and documented. And so that's what we're there for. I'm not there to do all of that. Now, once the boss or the manager says, you know, Jesse, things are just not working out here, I think it's time for us to part ways. And you go off and start yelling at the manager of, you're the horrible manager, you've never done this, and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, whoa. Let's not make this personal. This is a business interaction that we're here for. And then I'm going to go through what I need to go through, telling you your rights, what's going to happen, you know, with your benefits, if you have any, your final pay, and all this other stuff. That's what we're there for.
Let's not make it personal when the paycheck that I'm no longer going to be receiving is quite greatly going to affect me personally.
Okay, Greg, you know, so I want to ask you, you say you don't go into those meetings alone, neither do managers responsible for terminating that have the experience to do so. Why are the employees mandated to go into those meetings alone?
No, you're okay. Thank you. That's actually a really big, a very misunderstood thing. You don't have to go in there by yourself. You are more than welcome to bring somebody along with you in order to they're not there to talk. They're not there to discuss anything that's going on. They're specifically there to listen. Now, if you have a friend like me, Gregory, you can call them and say, hey, I think I'm going to get fired. Blah, blah, blah. They're going to put me on this plan. What should I do? Awesome. But you're also allowed to have somebody in the room with you. And tell
why
your
isn't
boss,
that offered? Why isn't that offered by human resources during those types of meetings?
You should
You're
know
supposed
that.
to be. No, nobody knows that. HR knows that.
How do you not know that?
People don't understand policies, and they're given these huge dictionaries of corporate policies and standard operating procedures and benefits and attendance and performance and yada. I mean, like, flip to page 344, and people are not reading those, Greg. People are just trying to get paid, man. People are just trying to go to work to pay their bills. As much as HR loves to make it about the company, if you stop paying people, I can guarantee you they're going to stop showing up. So, with that being said, they don't go there for the awesome pizza parties and the just some of the bullshit. Yeah, this is a very heating. Like it makes me hot talking about this topic.
I don't understand how. Okay, let's look at limiting the liability again and negating that liability, that potential that could be coming of it. You as an employee want to protect yourself. Why would you not have somebody there that's not necessarily on your side, but can speak on your behalf if it's necessary? Again, they're not there to have a conversation. They're not there to say anything during that conversation. They're there to have to be there as a witness. You're allowed to have your own witness there. Have notes.
They need to put it in the. I truly believe that needs to be something that's highlighted. And when HR says that we represent the company and we represent our people, I think that's a big left out piece that a lot of people just aren't familiar with those types of policies. And that's why I brought it to your attention to bring up. Because if you're going to make the effort to demonstrate that you care about your people, I think that's a really important topic, because ultimately you can get an idea, especially if you bring a peer of your, someone that's a peer or someone from a different department that, understands policies, or even if you bring in someone externally, like an attorney, that's when things start to get a little murky. But, at the end of the day, really I think that's yeah.
No, if somebody brings in somebody that's an attorney, I can't talk to you until we have a legal counsel there as well. So attorney, I would not say I'm going to bring in my attorney, or my attorney is going to join me for this conversation. No, you can have somebody that's there that's supposed to be a third.
A coworker. You're not going to let another coworker
at the time
of the same department.
At the time of termination, I mean, there is possibility for that to take place and to involve the legal department. But with that being said, Greg, would you say it's important for people to know their rights, and has HR done the best job of communicating the rights of the employee and not what's expected?
No, 100%. And as somebody who is a very big advocate, and I think this is why I get a lot of appreciation from you guys both. I appreciate it from some of my previous coworkers that I worked with and some of my previous counterparts of, I really try to make it personal, and I want to make sure that we're on your side and that we really are. And we as an HR, there has been a complete negative connotation with HR saying that we're not on your side, that we're only there on the company's side. Yes, we are on there for the company side. Some of us are there for your employees, and it's not always negative. And, I don't want people to think that we're all that way. Are they out there? Yeah, they're out there. They're going to be jerks, and they're going to be cold and heartless, and they don't care. That's not the wave that the future is coming in these days. And, we as an HR world need to wake up and be like, hey, let's be fair across the board. Yes, we're here to mitigate the liability for the company, but we're also there for our employees. And there's certain things that happen that way. And that's just that's something that we have to learn, and I think it's slowly changing. But do we have a long way to go? Absolutely. Yeah,
Right, but that's
100%.
also an issue that comes up if you're trying to be fair to employees, but the corporate leaders are pushing back on you, then you're going to be in the hot seat.
Of course. And as somebody that's in the profession, I know that's going to happen. I'm going to push back. And in any like job, anything like that, I'm not a yes person. I'm not going to be your yes person. If you need a yes person in your life, you got the wrong person. You both know.
So you're willing to push back
person.
against your you're willing to push back against your department if you disagree with something.
Absolutely. I've left jobs because my people that I worked for wanted me to do things that let their employees do things that were illegal. Not happening.
It happens all the time.
Jobs that way.
It happens all the time.
I'm
Even in
sure
Fortune
it does.
500 companies.
Intimidation
tactics.
Look at Enron. Yeah. And so I'm not. That's not me. I'm very. I have a very strong ethic, very strong moral background that I was brought up with, and so that I am very, very thankful for, and I think that's what allows me to be such a good HR person in certain aspects. Does it get me in trouble in other aspects? Yes. Am I okay with that? Yes, because I'm okay with pushing back. But you have to.
That's why we're friends, Greg.
Yeah, you have to do it in a very professional manner and understand that it's. And I know Jesse, you kind of, made fun of it. It's not personal, and I used to take it personally, where you were attacking me personally as a professional, but it's not. And so, I've really tried to separate that in my professional career. Very, very difficult to do, but I think, yeah, we as an HR have a long way to go.
Agree. So, I really want to talk about, some important things that we can kind of give tips for our listeners, because we've used this time to really kind of just, to battle out our differences. But, there's some key topics that I really wanted to cover and just really kind of get through, but, to finish out the episode is strategies for navigating performance improvement plans, investigations, complaint processes. I want to talk a little bit about people having a firm understanding that HR does not always define what the law says. It may be a broad aspect of things. So I've known companies that have said things in their human resources department and in their policies that things like talking amongst your peers about pay is a terminable offense. That is actually a protected action in all 50 states.
Yes, it is.
There are no regulations preventing employees from talking about what they're being compensated. And
nope.
The only reason that those policies would even come into play in the first place is because people are being grossly underpaid based on probably earlier human resources policies that were enacted earlier on to follow much more lenient laws. So I want you both to talk about your navigation and talk. I just wanted to give an example. I'm going to let you both kind of talk about PIP's investigations, complaint processes, and really what we can discuss on how to navigate those.
I really want to hear Jesse's perspective on this as a manager and somebody who's been in leadership and how they've worked with, or, I mean, he said he didn't have an HR department, whatever, but, I really want to hear Jesse.
Yeah, well, like I said, it's HR departments come in various different forms depending on the size of the organizations. So let's put that to bed. But working at a small company where I'm working directly for the hotel owner as a general manager, I was the one dealing with HR. I was the part HR. I was developing SOPs, doing payroll, making sure that taxes were getting filed and paid for by accounting, and things like that. But I mean, HR really has taken off in the last let's say 100 plus years because of the growth and size of companies, where before, I mean, the 1900s, we didn't really have such a gross amount of robust and huge companies that needed an HR department, and HR was really not known before then, or didn't exist before then. But with that said, to be able to navigate these things that HR is involved in, I would just put a recommendation to leaders out there to know when and have a conversation with yourself if it's something that you even need to involve HR about. I think that HR also depends on their leaders of the company and departmental managers to actually not have to be constantly involving them, because they're not, for say, in the daily operations of the workplace, and they can sometimes, through questioning and coaching when an issue is brought up to them, can actually just escalate the matter into something that it wasn't even meant to be, and then it's the
or steering people to seem like they were saying one thing when they meant another. Yeah,
exactly, and it turns into the conversation of, well, let's just work on getting rid of this employee.
Okay, so I'm going to ask one question to follow up with that. Jesse, you're saying that you, being the general manager directly to an owner, and so thus your payroll, your HR, you were blah, blah, blah. Apart from having a friend who loves HR, by the way, still do, always will, what would you say? What would you do if you didn't know where to go, who to ask, what to do? I mean, do you have any type of recommendation out there? I know you've got a great friend that has great information, and you come to them all the time. Thank you very much. But what would you say if I wasn't here?
I mean, I
know what I would do.
Air on my personal experience in the matter that was at hand, but for me, just talking to them that they're an actual person and not getting any lawful jargon involved and setting up a case that it doesn't need to be even created, and having a better conversation with that employee of, hey, how can we move past this issue instead of delving into it and making it into something that it isn't. But as far as, recommendations of handling things, has just come from my experience.
Got it.
All right, Robbie, what do you say to that?
I would say this. Be mindful of what you say, who you befriend. Be mindful of your backroom talk. Be mindful of the music you play. Be mindful of anything that may offend someone. Always take an approach as if you had your grandmother in the room. That's always going to be a safe bet when dealing with these types of internal nonsensical processes. Needless to say, what I would recommend is know your rights, know the law, take the time, call your state bar association if you feel your job is doing something that may seem unethical. Say, for example, you come back from a leave of absence and all of a sudden your manager's putting additional pressure on you that you've never seen before because we need to get your performance up. That's an indication. That's a red flag. And a lot of companies tend to have leadership that sometimes, not a lot, I'm not going to say all, but I will say a lot, policies in place to make people that utilize their leave benefits as a form of something against them. They'll come back and be all of a sudden they've gone through a fast track of performance management after coming back from a leave of absence, a birth of a child, an illness, and that is, in a sense, retaliation, and it is against the law. And at that point, if something like that is happening, you need to call your state bar association and get a recommendation from the State Bar Association for attorneys that handle these types of cases. And they will provide you with consultations.
Yeah, you also have your EEOC. Go to the EEOC website. There's a way to file a complaint there, and they can either tell you what's going on, they'll interview you, they'll interview your company, and, they have a lot of legality purposes for it. And there's a lot of things there for leaves and stuff like that, what Robbie was just talking about, and also for any of your protected classes. Definitely.
I agree. So, gentlemen, I think that this was a really important topic. I knew that this was going to become a heated discussion. But, at the end of the day, that's why we came together, was because this is a very much this department versus that department working environment in most companies. So it's good to have that perspective from everyone regarding that.
Oh, I'm sorry. We have another meeting coming up. Sorry. I just had to throw that out there. Oh, sorry, Robbie. Robbie's face just got so red.
Greg, what in the fuck was that? Asshole.
Yeah. See?
All right. Well, let's talk about next episode. I think that we should probably have a part 2 in a couple of weeks to let ourselves cool down and simmer down.
That'll be a good one.
Maybe in a few weeks we can reevaluate a part 2 and actually have a visitor on to talk about this topic, so it's not just the three of us. We can get an additional perspective.
I definitely would like to. So either somebody who's been in the HR world or somebody who can give an HR aspect and behind it, because they're taking it just from me, and it's 2 against 1, not fair. And so I think another HR person.
But we're talking about employees. We're talking about frontline employees who you're in their corner. Remember, we're here when you need us.
So what's our next podcast about next time? And there was crickets again. Anyways, I guess I will go for it. So our next podcast next week is going to be about burnout culture. And it's about why are we so exhausted? And, what do companies do? Is it inadvertently that they do it, or do they do it on purpose? And what do they contribute? And what do we contribute as HR people? And what do we contribute as our managers? I think it's going to be fun.
I think it's a really good topic to talk about. Yeah, I think that this is a really good topic because I feel like a lot of people are feeling this at the moment, and it's especially become, I feel like, front and center for people after the pandemic. So, it's definitely ramped up in the last 5 years quite a bit for most people. I'm excited to have this conversation because this is good. And the good news is we have a special guest next week. So we will definitely have somebody on board to talk about this with us. And we're excited to bring in this individual to talk about some of the experiences they've had working. So with that being said, do you guys have anything else before we conclude, gentlemen?
Reminder, if HR says they're your friend,
not your friend,
start typing an email.
Yeah.
No, okay, so what I will do is I will say, if you enjoy these conversations as much as we enjoy talking with them with you, follow us, subscribe, like, give us a comment, let us know what you think.
And send Rob your
know,
comments about HR and your terrible nightmares to rob@your2val.com so I can post it on our website, and I can direct Greg to the website so he can see all the comments. Love you, Greg.
It doesn't have to be bad ones. Be good ones, too. They're out there. I know they are. But, yeah. Thanks,
We'll
gentlemen.
circle back
I really
next week.
appreciate it. Yep. I appreciate it. Y'all have a great one. And we will chat with you or see you next time. Bye, y'all.
Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all.